All right, Algebra 1A students. Welcome to part 1 of your video on lesson 5.3. In this lesson, we're going to talk about what is called slope-intercept form of a line. Now, in our last videos, we were looking at just the slope of a line, the rate of change, the change in y over change in x, the rise and the run, and things of that nature. And in today's video, we are going to look at what's called slope-intercept form of a full-on linear equation. So looking a little bit beyond the slope, but also to the y-intercept, which we looked at a little bit today in our activity. But the slope-intercept form of a line is relatively familiar to a lot of us. It's y equals mx plus b form. Y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope number and b is the y-intercept number. And again, y-intercept really means where the graph crosses that y-axis. Okay, where does that graph cross the y-axis? That is the y-intercept. Okay, it's where it crosses the y-axis. So y equals mx plus b form, in today's video and tomorrow's practice problems, all you're going to be asked to do is basically decipher or build this form of an equation based on the slope and the intercept. Okay? So the first kind of problem is what are the slope and y-intercept of this graph, of this equation right here? Y equals 5x minus 2. Well, if we go back to our slope-intercept form general equation up here, we see that it's y equals slope number times x. Right? The slope number is always times x. So the slope number here is the one being multiplied by x, which in this case is 5. Okay? So for this problem, I could say slope equals 5. The slope is 5. And I could say that the y-intercept, which I usually abbreviate y-int, well, that's the other number in this form. That's the b value that's added on at the end. And the thing I just have to be careful of here is that the number that's added on at the end is actually subtracted on at the end. So I need to realize that when I subtract it, my y-intercept is really a negative. So my y-intercept is not 5. It's actually a minus 2. My y-intercept is a minus 2. So my slope is 5. My y-intercept is minus 2. That's where I get this equation, y equals 5x minus 2. Okay? 5 and a minus 2. So if I ask you to find me the slope and y-intercept of this graph, y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2/3, you should be able to do that relatively quickly. You should be able to tell me, well, Mr. Freitag, the slope is the number that's multiplied in front of my x, which is a negative sign 1/2. And the y-intercept is the number that's added on at the end, which in this case is a positive 2/3. I don't need to put the positive sign. I know it's there. It's 2/3. Positive 2/3. So slope is negative 1/2. Y-intercept is positive 2/3. So hopefully you're okay with looking at a a slope-intercept form of an equation and finding the slope and the intercept from that. The other thing I'm going to ask you to do in your homework is be able to go the other way, to take a slope and a y-intercept and write me the equation. So I will tell you, whenever you are asked, what is an equation? What is the equation? You're always going to start with the y in this section. Writing an equation in slope-intercept form, you're always starting with y. And in fact, when we're writing in slope-intercept form, we're always going to start y equals something. Y equals something. Okay? And if we go back to our original form, we know that right after y equals comes the m number, m times x. And m, remember, stands for slope. M is the slope, like a mountain. Slope's on the mountain. Okay? So my slope number, they tell me, is negative 4/5. That comes first. Times x, and my y-intercept is 7, so I add on my b value, which is my y-intercept, and that's 7. So that's all I have to do. I'm done with my equation. Y equals negative 4/5 x plus 7. Okay. So I'd like you to take a look at this one and take 30 seconds to write me an equation with slope 3 over 2 and y-intercept of -1. Once you have that finished, you can come on back, and then I'll show you what we should have. Your equation should say this in number 2. Y equals 3 over 2 times x minus 1, because the slope number is always multiplied by x. And then we attach this number at the end. If you have questions about writing an equation in slope-intercept form or finding the slope and intercept from that form, please make a note to ask me in class tomorrow. Otherwise, that's all I have for you. Have a wonderful night.